Do you think networking is about introducing yourself? If so, then you're wrong. It's all about keeping the conversation alive, and that's something most Asians never learn. Hey, I'm Cher. Welcome to the Next Level podcast. 我会用最直接、最有框架的方法，帮助亚洲专业人士在国际职场建立真正的影响力。I want to start with one idea, because if you remember nothing else from today's episode, remember this. The ability to keep a conversation going is probably the single most important networking skill you'll ever develop. Not confidence, not charisma, not having the perfect self introduction. It's your ability to create a conversation that naturally continues. Think about the most enjoyable conversations you have ever had. Did one person dominate the conversation? Probably not. Did it feel like an interview? Definitely not. It felt easy, natural, and balanced, like both people wanted to keep talking. That's exactly what great networking feels like. And today, I'm going to show you how to create that feeling. When I first moved to London, I thought networking was all about preparing a good introduction. I'd rehearse what I was going to say, who I worked for, what I did, where I studied, my previous experience, blah, blah, blah. Basically, I treated networking like a 2-minute elevator pitch. And guess what? The conversation usually ended a minute later. I finished saying everything. The other person would smile politely. They might ask one or two questions, and then complete silence. I used to think, maybe I'm just not good at networking, leading to that awkward silence. But after watching people who were good at it, I realized something. The best networkers weren't trying to impress people. They were creating conversations people wanted to stay in. That completely changed the way I network. So I want to tell you one tip is to stop explaining yourself, but start leaving hooks in your networking. Here's the biggest mistake I see, especially among Asians. We think a good self introduction means giving people all the information, almost like we're trying to answer every possible question before they ask. It sounds something like this.
Hey, I'm Mary. I work as a principal consultant. I specialize in transformation programs. Before this, I worked in banking. I moved from Hong Kong to London. Outside work, I also run the coaching business helping Asian professionals with communication and career development.
Done. Did you notice what happened? Everything is on the table. There's nothing left to discover. I answered questions even nobody had asked yet. There's no curiosity, no mystery, no reason for the other person to continue because I already finished the story. But instead, I now will leave one or two hooks in the way I say it, which is just enough for the other person to become curious. Let me show you. Hey, I'm Cher. I work in transformation consulting, and outside work, I help Asian professionals become more influential in international workplaces. Do you do anything interesting outside work? And then I'll pause and smile. That's it. You may call it there's something unfinished, but probably the audience will say and ask,
Oh, really? What do you mean by influential?
or maybe they will ask,
How did you get into coaching?
congratulations! If that's the case, they have just started investing in your conversation. Most people think a great introduction means telling people everything about yourself. Actually, that's the opposite. If you tell people your entire story in the first minute, there's nowhere for the conversation to flow. Instead, say less and leave one interesting hook next. Something that makes people curious enough to ask, tell me more. Because great networking isn't about giving all the answers, it's about creating curiosity. Now, think of your introduction as a movie trailer, not the whole movie. Now, let's talk about the rhythm of a good conversation. Imagine you are playing catch with someone. You throw the ball, they throw it back, and you throw it again. That's exactly how networking works. The problem is, many people never throw the ball back. They keep holding it. Keep talking, explaining, adding more details until the conversation feels heavy. Instead, I want you to remember three words in your next conversation: push, pull, repeat. Push means share something about yourself. Pull means invite the other person into the conversation. For example, I recently started a podcast about traveling, then immediately pull by saying, "Have you ever thought about creating content yourself?" Another example, I give the push as, "I'm originally from Hong Kong." Give them a pull saying, "What about you? Have you always lived in London?" Example number three, you can give them a push like, "I've actually started to enjoy networking events." And then give them a pull by saying, "Were you always comfortable networking?" Did you see the pattern? You are never holding the ball for too long. You're constantly inviting the other person back into the conversation. If you don't know what to ask next, don't worry. Remember these three questions. They are simple, natural, and work in almost every conversation. Question number one, I'm curious, da da da. What was that like? Number two, how did you get into that? Number three, what made you decide to do that? Do you notice anything? None of them sound like an interview, but a genuine curiosity. People love talking to someone who is genuinely curious. And I didn't ask random questions. I asked questions based on what they had already shared. That's the difference of sustaining a meaningful conversation. Great networkers don't prepare 50 questions. They listen carefully and build the next question from the last answer. That's why the conversation feels effortless. If I can do it, you can do it as well. Now, next, I hope you can stop trying to think of the next impressive thing to say. Instead, think about the next curious question to ask. Curiosity creates connection. Impressing people rarely does. If you're enjoying this episode so far, I'd really appreciate if you could subscribe to the Next Level podcast. Every subscription helps this podcast reach more Asian professionals like you who want to communicate with confidence and build real influence in international workplaces. Another mistake I see all the time is this. People think a good conversation means asking lots of different questions, like what do you do? Where are you from? How long have you been here? What company do you work for? Da da da. 5 questions, 5 different topics. It feels quite busy, but not connected. Instead, I want you to do something different next time. Don't look for the next topic. Follow the current one. Every answer someone gives you contains another thread. Your job isn't to change the subject. Your job is to gently pull that thread. For example,
I'm staying in France.
"Oh, nice.
It's my expertise for 10 years in doing the traveling guide, and I still like it.
Where do you live in France?" See what happened? The conversation just jumped. There's no connection between the two questions. Here's the better version.
I'm currently staying in France.
"Oh, really? What part of France?"
Oh, it's the southern part of it. And then I'm currently working as an investment banker. I quite like it.
Interesting. What made you choose investment banking?
Well, I actually started in audit, but slowly I just shifted to investment banking. I like the vibe, I like the pace.
That's quite a big transition. What influenced that decision? Did you notice? I'm not asking random questions anymore. I'm responding to what they've just shared. That's what makes people feel heard. People don't enjoy conversations because you ask lots of questions. They enjoy conversations because they feel you're genuinely listening, and listening isn't silent. Listening creates better questions. Don't ask more questions in your next networking. Ask better follow-up questions because every answer already contains the next thread for your next topic. You just have to notice it. Here's another shift that completely changed the way I network. I used to think people would like me if I sounded interesting. Now I think completely different. People remember the people who made them feel interesting. Think about the last conversation you really enjoyed. Did the other person talk brilliantly? Maybe, but more likely, they were genuinely interested in you. So instead of thinking, how do I sound impressive? Ask yourself, how can I make this person enjoy talking about themselves? Imagine someone says, I recently changed careers. Most people will reply, oh, nice, and then move on. Instead, you can try this. That's a big decision. What made you decide it was the right time? Or you can ask, that couldn't have been easy. What was the biggest challenge? Or even you can ask, that's really interesting. I don't hear that story very often. Tell me more. Notice that none of these questions are difficult. I wasn't trying to sound clever. I was trying to make them expand their story. But they make people feel seen. That's what great conversations do. They create space, not competition. At this point, you've probably realized something. Networking isn't actually about talking. It's about helping another person feel comfortable talking with you. And when people feel comfortable, they naturally remember you. Not because you were the smartest person in the room, but because you were the easiest person to talk to. Can I share one last lesson? I think this is one of the most overlooked networking skills. Knowing how to leave. Most people stay too long. The energy slowly fades. The conversation becomes repetitive. Both people start looking around the room and suddenly it feels awkward. Instead, leave while the conversation still feels good. Try this one next time. It's been lovely seeing you. I'm going to grab another drink, but I'll love to stay in touch. Or I'm going to say hello to a few more people before the event finishes. Hopefully, we'll chat again later. Shall we exchange WhatsApp or LinkedIn? Da da da. See? It's simple, warm, and confident. No awkward excuses, no disappearing. You didn't leave because you wanted to escape. You left because networking events are designed for people to meet lots of different people. And here's the interesting part. People are much more likely to remember a conversation that ended on a high than one that slowly ran out of energy. Leave them wanting another conversation would be the key of doing that, rather than waiting for this one to end in a very, very heavy, very dry way. Let's quickly recap what you have learned in this episode. We talk about 5 simple shifts that make networking feel natural. First, don't tell people everything. Leave a hook. Second, remember the rhythm. Push, pull, and repeat. Third, follow the thread. Don't jump from topic to topic. Fourth, focus on making the other person feel interesting, not to sounding interesting yourself. And finally, leave what the conversation is still enjoyable. Because great networking isn't measured by how many business cards you collect, it's measured by how many people genuinely want to talk to you again. If there's one idea I'd love you to remember from today's episode, here is one. People don't continue conversations because you are impressive. They continue conversations because they feel good when they are talking to you. So next time when you walk into a networking event, don't worry about saying the perfect thing. Don't try to impress the room. Instead, be curious and create conversation that people genuinely want to continue. Think with clarity, speak with structure, spark your influence. I'm sure. Thanks for listening to the Next Level podcast. See you next round.